Hey there, honey bunnies. Welcome to episode 132 of the Sovereign Storytellers podcast with your host, Michelle Wolf. Today we're going to talk about this concept of integrated heart that I've been talking about in the last couple of episodes. Certainly not a new concept, but it comes to mind frequently in sessions with clients and in my own businesses. There are several projects running simultaneously, which sometimes is a little much, a little much for me. But we're figuring it out. It's going to be okay. So it continues to come from Midnight Musings. It is 12:48 a.m. on the solstice. That this idea of being solely focused on the heart space, integrating the heart, the head, the hara point, womb space, the sacral chakra, whatever you want to call it, but this integration of all three of the cauldrons, crown, heart. I like to call it head, heart, and hips. So it continues to come up with clients. So I thought, well, maybe we should hear from B and the gang what they're talking about. So let's do that. Give me just a moment. Why does it matter, this integrated heart? Why does it matter that you understand the torus energy shape around you that contains the smaller but more powerful torus energy shape around your heart? The electromagnetic field of your heart. What difference does it make? It is an entertaining concept, yes. It is also your life raft, your lifeboat on tumultuous seas. It is what will save you, although you don't need saving. It is what will help you thrive in your businesses, in your relationships, in your finances, in your health. So why does it matter so much? Because it has been hidden from humanity for a very long time. The amount of power contained in the heart space. And we are being repetitive in the message because there are moments of where you are aware of it and the awareness quickly fades because it has been intentionally set into humanity's course, their path, that they not remember the power contained in an integrated heart. Integrated heart is a heart that is in control, is sovereign in its ability to have exquisite and extreme awareness about what is happening in the whole system. It is a bit like having a project manager who is managing all of the components of the project, the logistics, where is the product being made, who is making it, and how are they being treated, what is the efficiency, and then how is the product marketed, and who is taking care of that, and what are the numbers that need to be monitored for best efficiency for that, who is the consumer, and what are the price points, and how does the product get from the factory to the consumer, and et cetera, and on and on. These are complicated facets to track without a project manager. And humanity has been trained to not know about the power when you combine head, heart, and hips. And then once known, it is, you don't have experience with holding all of those components in the energy field at once without getting overwhelmed. And the reason for this is because the mind is trying to do the tracking of all the things, and the mind is not capable of such things. So it falls into overwhelm, it falls into stress responses, it collapses, or it becomes reactive. It falls into the nervous system patterns of the physical, because the mind cannot do it. When humanity is kept ignorant of the power of integrating mind and heart, body, soul, the mind just keeps struggling and collapsing and struggling and collapsing. And there's a continual looking outward for an answer that is contained inwardly. We and others, and throughout time, you have left yourself these messages that the answer is held in the heart, and yet continually you are finding yourself looking outward. What about that person? What about that job? What about that bank account? What about that body shape? What about the number on the scale? What about the this food or that person or that relationship? Outward, outward, outward. From childhood, you are trained to receive information passively and to follow orders, to not rock the boat. This is not a judgment. This is a labeling of what is, what has been, but what no longer has to be. But in the state of passivity, waiting for an external something, an external event, a person to tell you what to do, and even those of you who feel that you are very independent, there is still an underlying thread of waiting for something to happen, for someone to give you the answer, to buy the right course, to say the right words, to eat the right food and drink the right drinks, to do everything right, so that life fulfills your desires. But your deepest desire is not that. Your deepest desire is not what marketing teams tell you is your desire: to be young, to be thin, to fit a construct of physical beauty, to have relationships that no relationship could ever be. To find the one, the idea that there's a one person, one, that your soul is split in half, that all of these things are out there, and if you could just find them. But the one instruction light is the integrated heart. You exercise power over your internal states when it suits you, and then fall back into childish states of being, the passive, looking, somebody bring me, somebody give me, somebody love me, someone give me the answer. Who has the answer? Let me go look, let me go buy and spend and consume. You play your role very well. You have been trained from early childhood to play that role of passivity and consumption in search for that which does not exist. And yet, your mind is meant to serve the other, and when you are in service to the other, you are disciplined. Most of you have taken the time to develop skills as space holders, healers, even if you wouldn't define yourself that way. You have become, when you are in relationship to the other and you have a impulse to serve them, whether you call yourself a healer, a therapist, a coach, a space holder, or anything other than just a friend. You discipline yourself and you focus on the situation and the person, and the other anxiety-ridden thoughts are not allowed entry, or if you become aware of them, they are kept in the background because you are disciplined and focused. You can do it. You choose to slip in and out of it. The call for these times is to be the integrated self all the time. You show up for your life in the same way you show up in service to another, to the other. In a crisis, you shove everything to the side and you focus and you are integrated. You are present, standing at the ready. Your energy is in a state of readiness. And that kind of crisis is difficult for the body, and that is not exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about that state of clear focus and discipline, of not allowing insecurities, anxieties, the chitter chatter of a bored mind to interfere in any way with the focus required for the moment. So, less dramatically speaking, outside of a crisis, a friend calls you and they are in need of something. Not to the level of a crisis. No one's dying. And yet, you are able to be in the middle of your own life, get that phone call, and there may be grumbling and a few minutes of shifting gears, but you do shift gears, and you do establish a disciplined mind, and you do step into one point focus of solving the problem that is to be solved, of being at the ready for this other. The mind is perfect at this job. It does it so well. It immediately steps into focus. It immediately steps into problem solving. It's good at that. For the other, not for the self, yourself. And yet, you can show up for yourself with that level of disciplined focus and listening and being in the heart space, asking that you become aware of what you have not previously known. There is a window of opportunity available to humanity. There is a window of opportunity available to you. And you have free will, and you can say no to it. And there is no judgment. There is no judgment for a no. There is a consequence that comes with either choice. There is no morality in the universe. When you are a healer, a service provider to others on a more regular daily basis, as more of a career or something that you have decided that you will do throughout your life. Experienced healers do not allow mental chitter chatter to interfere with their service to the other. They're, regardless of what is happening before they step into the role of healer, shaman, coach, whatever label you put on it, the service provider, whatever is happening before that moment, the door is closed to it. They step into their heart space. Some pray. Some have rituals that they do to make sure that the discipline, the rituals are disciplined. The path is a discipline. They do not go into service mode, service path, without making sure the other stuff is, the door is closed to that. This would be true of nurses and midwives and doulas and death doulas and people sitting at the side of the dying. There is a choice to discipline the energy and not allow the mind to drift into things that the mind drifts into, namely the weeds. What about this? What if this happens? What if that happens? What about this thing that happened 10 years ago, 50 years ago? Let's worry about that. It's not allowed. Because a choice has been made to come from the heart, to step aside from the everyday mind. And what we are saying is the everyday mind is not meant to be your everyday mind. That was never meant to be. It is a distortion. It is like not having legs, not having full capacity, not having full availability of all the capacity. You were taught to not question. You were taught to not run experiments with life and find your own answers. You were taught to sit down and shut up and receive the answer that was given to you. Not the answers that you wanted to explore, but the answers that were given to you in a book by a teacher, and then later by an employer, or sometimes by a spouse or your peer group. Answers being given to you, instructions to follow. And any inclination or rebellion against those things was squashed from such an early age that you don't remember you have the powers right now. When you commit to the disciplined path, which is not a forceful path, is not a suppressive path. It is a choice. I will allow this, I won't allow that. You will do this, you will not do that. It is a choice, an active choice to be present in every moment, no matter what is happening. Present with the pain, present with joy, present with uncertainty, present with hunger of all kinds, present with loneliness, rage, present with the injustice, present with the ignorance. You become the space holder for your entire life in every moment. And in the beginning, that may sound exhausting to you, and yet it is your natural state. So the exhaustion comes from you trying to live authentically in diametric opposition to what you have been trained. So it feels wrong. And then there's worry. Well, what if you're suppressing? What if you're creating shadow? You are not. And when you approach your life from the same standpoint that you approach a session an interaction with someone who is in front of you and suffering, and you know how to help by simply being present. You may have some practical tools, you may have some techniques or methods, but the healing takes place in the presence. The healing comes from the presence. The method is, there are so many methods for healing to take place, so many methods for space to be held. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. What matters is the presence. That is the presence is what is doing the work. Not you, not them, not the room, not the sounds being made, not the tappings being done. None of those things is what's doing the deepest work. Which is why you can do whatever you want. If it feels good to you to do certain methods, to do that. Because you will find other people who really benefit from those methods. Never ever fall into the trap of thinking the method is the way. That the method is that the method is what is doing the healing. It is not. It is the delivery system. You could think of it that way. It is how you deliver. It is how you make it easy for the mind to have some structure to focus on, to minds like structure, minds like ritual. The body likes ritual because there's safety in ritual. When you've done things 100 times, the body knows exactly what to expect. It is the same with service dogs who wear one collar for work and a different collar when they are off work. So the dog knows I'm working now, I'm not working now. And I know this because when I wear this collar, I do these things. When I wear this collar, I do these other things. The dog is trained to know the difference. The ask of you now is that you not trade one collar for another at the end of the day. That you wear one collar for working and one collar for not working. That you go to a place that you haven't experienced before. That you understand you are not sending anything. You are not really doing anything. And if the mind could accept it, all you would need to simply do is hold the other in your energy field. And that alone would complete the transformation. Because it is the energetic presence, not the method. When you are holding space for another and you discipline your mind, there is no need to put the other collar on at the end of the session. There is no need to go back to the worrying and the fretting and the stressing and I've got to learn all these components so that I can have enough security. You may have noticed there is no security out there. And the more you reach outward, the worse it gets. The worse it feels, the worse results you obtain, if you obtain any results at all. This is a difficult transition. We acknowledge that. It is a difficult it is ironic, isn't it, that being asked to be fully authentic is difficult. Because you have been taught to be inauthentic. You have taught to squelch and squash and smother yourself, your desires, your natural inclinations, your wanting to question and to ask and to dream and to spin stories and to let your mind have free reign to play with any concept it can possibly think of without a need to then monetize it or to do something with it. When you need to do something with it, you will know because the other will come into your field and will ask you for it, will demonstrate behaviors, and the mind will say, that this thing that I was playing with last week is useful here. Let me ask the other if they'd like to have it. Then you can deliver it, and the mind is very satisfied because that is its appropriate role. Your body tells you, yes, deliver, yes, make the offer, yes, ask for permission. The body gives the impulse, the mind delivers the product or the method, the session, whatever it is. And the other benefits greatly from asking for something and receiving it. And in your current reality, the completing that cycle generally involves some sort of monetary exchange, if this is your role. But what matters most is showing up for your life the way you show up for the other. Not allowing the thoughts to keep going down pathways that are dead ends, to keep trying to solve problems that are unsolvable, cannot be solved. You cannot find something out there that will make you live forever. You cannot find anything out there that will make you feel whole and complete and know who you are, the full kaleidoscope of who you are. You can never be captured by labels and descriptors. They're only things that help you know a little bit about the unknowable, which is good for the mind. But the bigger part of you understands it is only a fraction of what you are about and who you actually are. You could never be captured inside of a list of components, although those are useful while you are in a human body. They're very useful to you. Understand they are a tool. They are not the source. Your relationships are they are not the source of the joy. Your decisions around them create the joy. The decisions of what you will allow and what you won't allow to go on inside of your brain dictate your emotions, dictate your attitude, dictate your creations. You can no longer afford to sit back in passiveness, waiting. Even if you're actively seeking, it's still passivity because you're trying to get something from out there that doesn't exist. Your one job at this moment in time is to practice staying in the presence mode of operation, to practice staying in a state of love and listening for those clues from the environment. And that may sound passive in a sentence, but it is active listening. It is alert. It is not drifting, dreaming, pretending and fantasizing and letting the days just slip by and by and by, which you can do. And it's not very satisfying for you, and it won't get you, it won't land you in the at a point in your life where you're able to feel the full expression, the massive amount of energy that you're capable of running through your physical container. You won't get to have that experience if you stay in fantasy. This is not fantasy. This is not meditation of checking out or going numb. It is the exact opposite. It is a state of readiness. Watch your animals, your dogs and your cats. They may look like they are sleeping and they are not. They are just in the in-between. But their whiskers or their ears or their tail twitch and let you know they're still aware. Yes, of course, sometimes they're sleeping. But there are plenty of times as you observe your animals where they are superficially appearing asleep, but they're not at all asleep. They are very aware. It is an active resting state. When you move through your life in an active resting state, you don't get exhausted because your mind is not allowed to wear you out by stimulating stress responses all day long. You catch your mind and you say no to that. The same way you would say no to that if you were in a session with someone else and you had an intrusive thought about if you left the iron on at home, or if you forgot to turn off the oven, or what about your bank account? Did you pay the bill? Those kinds of thoughts get immediately dismissed. And you can do that all the time. Generally, those kinds of intrusive thoughts are just the mind chattering to itself. You can let it chatter to itself, but you don't have to engage with it. You can step down into your heart and let the mind do the chattering that it does, the chewing and the thinking and the what about this and what if that and what about a world like this and oh, look at the world the way it is now, and but you don't allow it to go any further than that. It just is in mind mode, as it should be. Your heart understands this is what the mind does, so it does not get anxious about trying to fix it or change it or stop it or control it, because there is no need for that. The heart holds space for everything. You're connected to the hips, your lower body, your skin, so that you feel when energy is entering your space, and you can consciously determine, is it something you need to deal with, or is it something that needs to just be acknowledged and allowed to flow on through. Because you're so aware, you feel it in the softest, most subtle states, in the very beginning, as something before it even gets to you. You feel it approaching, and you consciously check in with your heart, feel into your body, ask, what is this disturbance? What is this flicker of a something that I hear? What is this sound in the night? The body gets to give you its information. Oh, someone in the neighborhood is upset. It's not yours to deal with. The mind can quickly send a prayer of support to wherever the suffering is being picked up from. And you go back to resting, listening. This is an integrated heart. This is a life that is looking for things that light up the body without thought of where it will go. A new ball of yarn, a puzzle, a new book, a new gadget, whatever it is, petting your animals. conversation with a friend, a cup of coffee that's actually experienced and not just slammed down the throat in the morning. It is rich, complex, because it is experiencing all the sensations and colors and textures in real time, because the mind isn't caught up in searching, so that you're not even aware of the body's experience of that cup of coffee. You're not aware of the memories that could come around other times related to coffee, as the mind is a spider web and everything is connected. So contemplating a cup of coffee can bring to you, in your active listening energy state, a memory that needs some resolution, or a pleasant memory that is nice to revisit. There is so much freedom, there is so much choice in the presence when you stay present with presence in an active listening state. And the anchor is the heart, not the mind. And when you feel the contraction, a thought comes and you contract, and you immediately feel that contraction and you expand. You say, oh, let me expand my energy. You may not know what that means as the words are hitting your ears in this moment. All you need to say is, I want to expand, and feel what about that thought caused a contraction. What do I want to do with this contraction? Do I need to ask it for information? Do I need to just deep breath and expand and accept it? Let the contraction tell you what it needs to tell you, or cue you to relax and expand even more, to make more space, to hold more space for your own life. This focus, this practice saves your life. It is your lifeboat on these seas that remain stormy and unpredictable, as life always is. But in a sturdy, strong boat of your heart that flows and rises and falls with every wave, with ease and flexibility and permission to be as you are in every moment, not seeking, looking, grasping for an answer to a question that was handed to you. It's not even a natural question. You were taught to question your value, to question your, do I fit in? Do I look appropriate? Do I have the right components and characteristics? These questions, you were taught to ask these questions. These are not natural questions. Natural questions are, what does the sun feel like on your face? What is the texture of that cat versus this dog? What is the color variation of that plant versus that plant? How does rain feel on the skin? How does sunlight feel on the skin? How does wind feel on the skin? I wonder. Those are natural questions. Not wondering if you're worthy. Not wondering how to fix other people. How to make your children get along when your children don't get along right now, and that's fine. That there's no, your presence and loving expansion helps more than any words or conversations that could be had with them. Your one job is love. Your one job is resting in an active listening state, anchored in your heart. If you don't know that what that means, just start today. Just start asking. I want to know what this means. I want to know what it feels like to be a space holder for my entire life, all the time. There's no effort in space holding. If there is, it's being done incorrectly. There's a trying involved if there's exhaustion after sessions. It's your natural state to hold space for the other. It should never be exhausting. You should not be exhausted. That is an indicator of effort, and there is no effort in breathing and being your natural self. All day, come back to space. All day, catch those thoughts and say, let me hold space for this anxiety. There is fear present. Let me hold space for this fear. Your fear will tell you what it needs to tell you if there is anything to tell. It may just be energy, like a passing summer breeze. It may be a passing breeze of fear that you need nothing to not engage with. There's nothing needed. It's just there. Practice returning to the heart again and again and again, and treating yourself with the same dignity and respect, and providing for yourself the safety that you never got, making sure that the body's needs are taken care of, that you are provided for, doing it for yourself from a place in the heart. And we'll end there. These are simple instructions. So, variations of this message is what they've been bringing forth every single time I get quiet. The same message comes forward. I'm practicing it in my own life. It is helping me to see very old patterns and conditioned responses that I wasn't aware were in place. A conditioned response is something happens and then you have a reaction to it. Whether that something is today or it looks the same as something that you experienced 30 years ago, your response to it is the same. This is why sometimes you don't like people for no reason other than that they kind of remind you of someone who hurt you. That's a conditioned response. I did not know I was walking on eggshells and holding my breath for 9 months because I was so conditioned to it. Many awarenesses are coming to light when I just hold space for the mind, for all the thoughts, all the thoughts that we have in a given day. They're all basically, meaningless. We're thinking constantly, but our true wisdom doesn't come from our thoughts. Almost never. It's a gut instinct or a heart impulse. So continue to play with this. Continue to ask yourself, what does this look like when you are building a program or a project or doing your work? What does it look like to do your work from a place of not, I got to get this done, to a place of, I'm showing up for this project as if it were a client or a very good friend that you wanted to be really present for, really available for. And if you hate that project so much that you don't want to be available for it, then you have some decisions to make. Don't you? On just the upcoming business stuff, so I'll tell you what's coming up available. PlanetHumanDesign.com is active, where you can book a human design session. It's only going to be human design related things. I have about 6 blog posts to put in from guest bloggers. If you want to submit a guest blog post, just email me or hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. Both of those are /MichelleWolf11. It has to be human design related, but it doesn't have to be long, and it can be personal or professional. That gets you some backlinks to your own website and adds some content to mine, so it's a win-win. The Less Hustle, More Human Design program is coming up. That's 8 weeks of you getting your projects done, and we will be talking about how to hold space for your own business. We do that every day of that program. Whatever your business days are, we start the day with getting present with the business and then laying out tasks based on not logical or linear task lists, but what the body and the heart and the mind feel is appropriate for the day. Then you do those tasks, and over the course of 8 weeks, you get a project done. You get your website up and running. You get that sales page written. You get the outline of that book done. You get your YouTube channel started. Whatever it is you're doing, you get your exercise program done and experienced, because you have nearly daily support for that. We meet weekly. It's live. You're not being handed a bunch of pre-recorded classes. It's live, so every group is a little bit different. We talk about the nervous system, how to deal with that. We talk about holding space. You get a one-on-one session with me that you can use halfway through as a bonus. An hour of my time. Some people have used that to do some copywriting. We'll be talking about copywriting and social media and marketing. How to do those things in a way that is from that integrated heart space. Not from you've got to do this thing to get this other thing. No, we're not doing that shit anymore. All right, that's the end of the business stuff. I think there is copywriting available now, and from a more website-y, there's still website services available, copywriting, SEO. There's things of that nature available. If you want them, just let me know. So listen to the recording again. Listen to this podcast again, preferably in a meditative state. It's the first time through, your mind will be grabbing onto it. Try to listen the next time from that state of active alertness. See what images or feelings or impressions or ancestors or energies come forward to be interacted with, for you to be aware of, so that you can receive what they provide on a different level. And those are those places where it's impossible to find the words to describe it. But when you listen again from your heart space, set the intention to receive the energies embedded in their delivery of a message. All right. Till we speak again, think less, feel more, and we'll see you later.